Am I the a-hole for not wanting my parents to adopt my ex-fiancé? My F24, ex-fiancé, M24, and I were together for 7 years. He proposed last fall, and we mutually decided to break up in May. He's always gotten along incredibly well with my parents, especially my father. They always treated him like he was one of their children, and my parents have always told him he's part of the family. For example, he started coming on family vacations with us when we were 17. It was a very tough decision to end our relationship, but we both agreed it was for the best. He moved out while I finished up our lease term. His plans fell through last minute, and he moved in with my parents for a little, while finding a new place. Obviously, I felt a little weird about him moving into my childhood bedroom and being at my parents' house a fair amount. It led to lots of awkward interactions, but we got past it. He moved out at the start of August, and I thought that was that. Last night, my parents invited me over for dinner. They sat me down and explained that since the wedding was off and my ex-fiancé wasn't going to be a part of the family by marriage, they wanted to adopt him. They asked him last week, and he agreed as long as I'm ok with it. I'm definitely not. I told them that I'm not really comfortable with that, and they started telling me that I'm keeping them away from their son, WTF, and that I need to tell him that I'm ok with it so that we can all be a real family. Last night, my parents invited me over for dinner. They sat me down and explained that since the wedding was off and my ex-fiancé wasn't going to be a part of the family by marriage, they wanted to adopt him. They asked him last week, and he agreed as long as I'm okay with it. I'm definitely not. I told them that I'm not really comfortable with that, and they started telling me that I'm keeping them away from their son, WTF, and that I need to tell him that I'm okay with it so that we can all be a real family. I'm worried I'm being an a-hole because they have cared so much for my ex over the years. I'm also worried I'm being selfish by worrying about how to explain this to future partners. Aita. More information in a comment. I do actually have a younger brother. He's going to university in another country and doesn't visit home very often. My ex's mom passed when he was young, and his dad remarried and is much more invested in his new family. I'm surprised he agreed, but haven't had a chance to actually talk to him about it. Update 2 weeks later. After I had some time to process the situation and read all the comments you guys wrote, thank you. I was feeling a lot less crazy. I decided to call my ex and ask him about the whole situation. Like a couple of you guys guessed, he didn't actually want to be adopted. He only answered like that because he didn't want to say no to my parents who did so much for him over the years. He knew I wouldn't like the situation and say no. Obviously, I'm not thrilled about him offloading the hard answers onto me, but I feel like we had a really productive conversation about it. I also gave my brother 20 a call because there were some suggestions that my parents were trying to replace their son with my ex. He said he didn't want to talk about it over the phone and would rather wait until he could see me in person. This wasn't at all like him, so we worked out a way for me to visit him over the weekend. Well, she came out to me as trans, and I have a sister now. We talked for a few hours. She decided to go to university in a different country because she wanted to have a better opportunity to restart as a woman. She was planning on waiting longer to tell us because she was being hypercritical of how well she passes and didn't want me and my parents to just see her as a man in a dress. She actually passes really well, and I'm very proud of her. She ended up coming out to our parents at the beginning of the semester because she was going to change her preferred name in the school system, and my parents have access to some parts so they can help her with tuition. She asked them not to tell anyone else so that she could come out to people when she wants to. She thought they took the news very well until this situation broke out. Her therapist has suggested that our parents are going through grief for having their son. The insanity of wanting to adopt my ex could be a part of that. My sister gave me permission to tell all this to my ex-fiancé. Together we all agreed it's best for us to go low contact for the time being.